Come on. Command has been given. Crank him up.
Let's go. When I say I don't know, I don't know.
Let's go, baby.
Now, the Morning Drive.
Buckle up, everybody.
A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
It's a game changer.
I listen to you guys every single day on my way to work.
Well, again, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on the radio.
You guys are amazing.
What are you doing over there?
I'm going to the top.
The Morning Drive with Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone.
To the bat balls.
Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Live and on the air for this Friday morning, February 17th, 2023. Mike Bagley here at Daytona International Speedway. Pistol Pete Pistone's in the Paisan Palace in Chicago. Sammy and Melvin are in Studio 134 of the Beltway Bureau in our nation's capital. We welcome you to this Friday morning on the heels of what was an action-packed night here at Daytona International Speedway. One night ago, we set the starting lineup for the 65th Daytona 500.
From Daytona International Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Duel number 1 of 2. This will set the inside row for the Daytona 500 under the lights at Daytona International Speedway. Everybody's up and on their feet, and the green flag is in the air. A couple of Chevrolets at the front of the field. Their teammates, Alex Bowman and William Byron, side by side. They head to one.
Side by side for the top spot. Here is Ryan Blaney to the inside, Bowman to the outside lane, and it is going to be Blaney with some drafting help from the bottom from Bubba Wallace.
That's a stout Ford Mustang now at the front of the field from Team Penske. It's Ryan Blaney leading lap number 1 in dual race number 1.
Remember the Chevrolets pitting together? Well, 2 of them were pitting too fast, busted for speeding. One, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the other one, a brutal blow for Chandler Smith,
who has to race his way in tonight if he wants to be a part of the main event, the Daytona 500 on Sunday. He's going to have to do a pass-through penalty. Joey Logano, after everybody's made a pit stop, is cycling back around as the race leader. Kevin Harvick is now second, Ryan Blaney third, Chris Buescher fourth, and Christopher Bell rounds out the top 5.
And here come the Toyotas. Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, 3 wide up the gun. Wallace doesn't go with Bell. Bell will dive to the inside of Harvick for second as Logano gets away with the lead. Here comes Bell with a run from second.
Bell up to second. Harvick kicked to the outside lane, falling outside of the top 5. Here's Bell now to the outside of race leader Joey Logano. They are side by side on turn 4.
Christopher Bell has no drafting help. Now they'll stack up on his back bumper, side by side to the line. Checkered flag in the air, and it's going to be won by half a car length by Joey Logano. Joey Logano wins Bluegreen Vacations dual race number 1.
Zane Smith, the 23-year-old driver from Huntington Beach, California, has made the Great American Race. So the 2 open cars that will advance Jimmy on speed. Zane Smith races his way into the Daytona 500.
Number 2.
Kyle Larson will go from the inside of the front row with Eric Almirola to his right elbow. Green flag goes in the air from chief starter Greg Harris, and we're racing dual race number 2, side by side at the front of the field. As a matter of fact, all the way through the field, headed to 1.
Ford on the outside, Dave. Chevrolet on the inside.
No intentions of getting single file, at least in the early going here in duel number 2. They continue to go at it, nose to nose for that number 1 position. Kyle Larson on the inside. Eric Almirola on the outside. They're 2x2 all the way back. Side by side to the back straightaway. Larson on the bottom. Busch up top. Busch looks in the rearview mirror. Daniel Suarez lined up right there as well as Kyle Larson gets assistance down low from Eric Almirola.
Caution for a problem in front of Mike Bagley.
Kyle Busch has gotten turned while leading at Daytona. The hit came from Daniel Suarez. It turned Kyle into the outside wall, and he took others with him. He took Ryan Preece. He took Austin Hill. He has taken several other drivers. They all, except Kyle, has left the scene. Kyle immediately has climbed from his Chevrolet. He is met with safety crews. Disaster for Kyle Busch on the back straightaway.
You're behind us now. They just shut it off. So that is not a good sign. The hood has gone down, and Austin is climbing out of the car. This Beard Motorsports Spin-It-sponsored machine appears to be done.
Tough break, getting swept up in the multi-car crash over on the Daytona Super Stretch. The money team right now with Connor Daly in position to race their way into the Daytona 500.
13 laps to go under the green flag. Eric Almirola, Mike Bagley leads them down to Daytona Superstretch.
And he is leading the inside line. Kyle Larson to the outside, getting frisky up front. Brett Keselowski just gave Almirola a shove. Keselowski for a moment was headed to the infield, but correct.
Look at the manufacturers as we get down to it with 8 laps to go. 4 of the front 5 are Ford Mustangs. The lone Chevrolet in that mix, Kyle Larson. Now Corey LaJoie sticks his Chevy up there. Almirola leads them to 1.
Eric Almirola, bottom of the racetrack, trying to fend off the advances of Austin Cindric. They are side by side. Now Almirola by a fender, by a door. He's clear on the low lane.
Todd Gilliland at the bottom. Here comes Eric Almirola. He'll bust out of line to the top side. White flag is in the air. Almirola by a fender leads the final lap as they work their way into turn number 1. Gilliland rallies back downstairs.
Eric Almirola made his move early before the white flag had even fallen across the hood of his machine. Gilliland's down on the apron. They scatter to avoid. How did they get away? Gilliland drops back to 5th. Eric Almirola away with the lead now. Austin Cindric right behind him in 2nd. Here they come down the back straightaway for the final time. Corey LaJoie in 3rd. Chase Elliott now running in 4th.
A distant 4th for Chase Elliott, about 3 car lengths behind Corey LaJoie, who is on the back bumper of Austin Cindric. About a half a car length behind race leader Eric Almirola.
Here they come now, racing back to the checkered flag. Corey LaJoie is going to take to the top side of the racetrack. Will not be enough. Across the line, it is Eric Almirola. He has scored the win in the Blue-Green Vacations Duel number 2.
That's how it sounded last night here at Daytona International Speedway. The Blue-Green Vacations Duel at Daytona. Oh, what a night it was. Joey Logano, Eric Almirola going to victory lane. Austin Hill and Chandler Smith did not make it in. We'll give you the lineup for the Daytona 500 in a moment. Petey, what are your thoughts about what we saw last night in our attempt to solidify the starting lineup for the Great American Race?
Well, as is usually the case, both races had a little different flavor to them. The first one went all the way from start to finish, pretty much in the order of the running there, with Joey Logano doing what he does best, getting to the front, staying at the front, and picking up the checkered flag. Things got a little more rambunctious in the second race, as you heard. Unfortunately, Kyle Busch involved in a very hard hit there when he had contact from behind with Daniel Suarez. But at the end, another Ford in victory lane with Eric Almirola. So my takeaway, Mike, would be we saw Chevys fast in qualifying. They're on the front row. But in race trim, the Fords working together, they seem like they're going to have a good run Sunday at the 500. And we saw 2 Fords in victory lane last night.
So on the other end of that, in dual race number 1, we saw the Chevrolets pit early, and that cost them mightily. And I believe that sent a message to everybody else in dual race 2, let's not do that. But we had more cautions in the second race than we did the first, and that just didn't come to be. Went caution-free in the first one. But it's amazing how those in dual race 2 observed dual race 1. The racing was different, the strategy was different, and then they were able to put all that together. But those Chevrolets paid a costly price, I believe, in dual race 1 last night.
There's no doubt about it. How they pitted, you're exactly right, is how the second half of the race played out. The Ford camp went to school on that, and you saw that reverse itself in the second race. And, of course, the other story from last night, the drivers that got into the Daytona 500. How in the world did Connor Daly make the Daytona 500? The guy was like, it felt like he was 5 laps down before they even threw the green flag last night. The way his car was bouncing around, but he stayed with it. Other people had trouble. And unfortunately for Austin Hill and Chandler Smith, they did not make the Great American Race. But Connor Daly and the Money Team and Zane Smith take those final 2 spots, joining Jimmy Johnson and Travis Pastrana from the night before.
The interesting thing about Connor Daly is that was the first time he had wheeled a race car in NASCAR. And you're coming over from the IndyCar series, and I'd thrown out that, the steering ratio in an IndyCar is a whole lot different than the Cup car. Coming up through the gearbox, different. But I want to tell you, even though the car didn't have the speed to stay in the pack, I thought he did a good job, and perhaps maybe that was the best thing for him to get his feet wet last night when he spent a lot of time on the racetrack by himself, hoping that he can get into the mix. But Connor Daly, and to me, that's a great story. He was able to qualify for the Daytona 500. He'll be qualifying for the Indianapolis 500 in May. And I know that Connor has run before in NASCAR, but last night is a totally different animal than anything he had done ever before.
Well, the way that car was bouncing around, I don't care who you were. I mean, the ghost of Sterling Moss couldn't have come down and got that car around Daytona International Speedway last night. I don't care how talented you are. That was just a handful. But he was able to persevere. And the bottom line is the perseverance paid off. So Connor Daly, and now they'll have some time there with that money team today in practice, Saturday in practice, to try to get it dialed in. But those are the stories. We talked about it all week. Who was going to get in, who was going to get out. You felt bad for Chandler Smith. You felt bad for Austin Hill. Austin Hill and that little Beard Motorsports team, one of the 4 starts that he's going to make this year, 6th there on the super speedways. Unfortunately, on the outside, looking in for the Great American Race.
Well, here's how they'll stack up for the 65th running of the Daytona 500. Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, locked in through Wednesday night's proceedings when everyone ran for the front row. They will go 1 and 2. Joey Logano will start in 3rd. Eric Almirola will start 4th. Christopher Bell in 5th. We got Austin Cindric, who will start in 6th. 7th, it'll be Ryan Blaney with Chase Elliott starting 8th, Chris Buescher 9th, and Brad Keselowski starting in 10th.
Michael McDowell will start 11th. 12th will be Corey LaJoie. Kevin Harvick will start 13th. Todd Gilliland will start 14th. 15th will be Bubba Wallace. 16th, Martin Truex Jr. Zane Smith, he'll start 17th. Denny Hamlin will come from the 18th starting spot. 19th will be Harrison Burton. 20th will be Ryan Preece.
William Byron will fire off in the 21st position. Noah Gragson will start 22nd. It'll be Ross Chastain in 23rd, Daniel Suarez in 24th, and Eric Jones in 25th. Tyler Reddick will be your 26th starter with Austin Dillon in 27th, Justin Haley in 28th, A.J. Allmendinger will start 29th, and Chase Briscoe will be your 30th starter.
31st will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. B.J. McLeod will start 32nd. Ty Gibbs, 33rd. Connor Daly from the 34th starting spot. Cody Ware, 35th. Kyle Busch, well, he's going to start 36th, but he'll be in a backup, so he'll go all the way to the rear. Ty Dillon, 37th. Riley Herbst, 38th. And the 2 drivers, the open drivers that made it on speed in qualifying, Jimmy Johnson, 39th, and Travis Pastrana, 40th.
And we will hear from some of the key players last night in the Blue-Green Vacations Duel at Daytona coming up. Bottom of the hour, I'll give you headline check number 1. At the top of the hour, Todd Gordon will join us. He's Jimmy Johnson's crew chief for the Great American Race. Also got the drum and the calendar coming up at 8:50. And then in the 4th and final hour this morning, we will preview it up. We're going to give you a preview for the entire slate of events starting tonight, including tomorrow and Sunday. The Wizard of Odds is back for 2023. We'll also give you our fantasy lineups for the Daytona 500. We'll give you our picks. We'll give you our prop bets. And, of course, Monday headlines today in the final segment of today's broadcasting extravaganza here on your home for NASCAR. Coverage of the Daytona 500 on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio is brought to you by Smithfield. Cruise to your local grocer to fuel your crew with delicious Smithfield breakfast meats. Then enter our weekly giveaway at smithfield.com for your chance to win a $250 grocery gift card.